We're going to take the other side of the coin. And what we have here is the Les Paul. Les Paul was invented or created around 1952, and it's a big old chunk of mahogany with a maple cap. The combination of mahogany for sustain and warmth, and the maple for definition. And if Terry sees this, he's going to say, no, you got it all wrong, but that's pretty much how I feel about it. Gives a guitar that gives a real strong, thick, creamy tone. Very much popularized in rock and roll in the late 60s with bands, Eric Clapton playing with Cream, Peter Green with, who are those guys? Oh, Fleetwood Mac. Both those guys playing with John Mayhall along with Mick Taylor. They all were playing Les Pauls. Amplifiers way gained out. I suspect that might have actually been an SG, but still, big fat humbucking pickups. We didn't really demonstrate the single coils on the Fender guitars, thinner, more articulate tonality, very susceptible to bad wiring. You get a little bit of buzzing. In 1957 or so, Ted McCarty at Gibson got together, I believe, Seth Lover, and they said, we need to do something to get rid of these noise, because up until that point, everybody had single coils, and they would pick up the, the fluorescent lights and stuff. And they came up with this idea that they called a humbucking pickup. You can't really see here, but there's two coils side by side. They're wound electrically out of phase. And what that did with sound sources that came far away, like the lights, the waveforms would hit the pickups equally and the phase would cancel them out. But because the coils were real close to the strings, they would still get the full sound of the strings. And in fact, they discovered them to be a fairly powerful pickup. I don't know if they were actually the first one to come up with this hum canceling design. I know DeArmond did some work with that, and some other folks, but they were the one that pretty much put it on the map. Ironically, when the Les Paul came out, it didn't really catch on. They only made a few hundred in a few years that they were making them, particularly with the humbucking, so they've become very rare and desirable. Because they're doing, oh wow, I do like that sound. But it's a different tone. And you can, again, do the jazz thing. Kind of do the country thing, but it's a more rocking, Travis Tritt on a bad day, my dog kicked me kind of thing. Ironically, Fender has always owned the early country music, Telecasters, Stratocasters. What's coming out of Nashville these days, and those that argue isn't really country, you see an awful lot of Gibsons, SGs, and Les Pauls. But they're pretty nice. I will tell everybody who will listen that pick your favorite guitar player. I don't care who he is. I don't care how metal out he is and whatever. And you see him on stage with these really strange guitars. He goes into the studio, and right here he'll have a Les Paul, and right here he'll have a Stratocaster, just in case. He may play the guitar he's been signed to play, shall we say, but they're going to have some kind of Stratocaster or Telecaster, or both, and some kind of Les Paul 335, something with humbuckings, close enough so the producer say, man, it's not quite working, play the Les Paul, and they'll go and do the track. So, basic differences: Gibsons, flatter radius, bigger frets, a little bit easier to play. Stratocasters, the early ones had a very rounded crowned fretboard with thin frets, a little bit more difficult to play. I like to tell my Gibson friends, yeah, someday you'll grow up and play a Stratocaster. They now come with a 9.5-inch radius, much flatter, a little bit thicker frets, making it easier to play. Thank God. My Strats have 9.5s. I have 3. My wife thinks that's a bit much, but I could use 2 more. In case anybody's feeling generous and Christmas is coming, I'd like a nice 58 reissue so I could... Anyway. So that's kind of differences of probably the 2 mainstays of electric guitars. In my next segment, we'll talk about some of the differences between countries of origins and stuff. But till then, this is Jack from Guitar Showcase saying hi, keep rocking.